Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Real to Real Talk. I am Sergio Barrera, and it's time once again to talk all things movies. Joining me, as always, is the other Real to Real Talker, Paul Britton. Paul, welcome.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Yes, indeed.
So we're not here to talk about opening day of the Masters. Is that right?
I don't think we are.
Okay.
Is that today?
Yes. Yes, that is today.
Yeah, we didn't wait till Thursday because of that.
Oh, okay.
We waited till Thursday because I learned a very valuable life lesson. Fixing two kittens at once is a handful. So, yeah. But no, here we are. And frankly, I want to start this conversation that we're going to have tonight with a question, because I think I know the answer, but for some reason I can't say for sure. You play D&D.
I do. I am the DM.
You're the DM. That's what I thought.
Yeah, for a very long-standing game that is just going and going and going. It's fun.
How long has it gone?
Oh, it started this summer before the pandemic. So,
oh wow,
yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, because tonight, as part of our discussion, we will be reviewing the recently released Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves film, as we are going to be focused tonight on movies that are based on games.
Yes.
That is going to be sort of the push of our discussion. And there's a few that we're going to talk about there. You can see them on screen, folks, and those that are watching. But, Rare is the movie that is based on a game of some sort that actually works.
I know.
I'm and boy, do we have some examples of the spectrum of things that can occur. Aside from what you see on screen, Paul, help me remember, what other games would you say are based on games?
Movies are based on games. Okay, well, so like, oh my god, so there's the original Super Mario Brothers movie that is just unwatchably bad. There's all the Resident Evil stuff that I'm not remotely interested in. There's the Street Fighter movie. There's all the Mortal Kombat stuff, including the one that came out like a year ago or 2 years ago. That neither of us liked because it wasn't good. Like, it just totally missed, and it's baffling. It's baffling. Like, it should not be that difficult to make a good movie based on games. It just shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And well, here we are.
Even the first attempt at a Dungeons and Dragons film kind of landed with a thud many years ago.
Absolutely.
And so I'll be the first to say, Paul, that when I saw that that this movie was going to come out, I had much reservation. I was really concerned. And this is not a slight on the overall career of Chris Pine, but when I saw that he was the lead in it, I thought, ooh, this could go
either way.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's kind of hit or miss in some cases.
I usually like him, though.
Yeah, no, he does bring a lot of dynamism, but if we look at his filmography, which maybe someday we will, it hits and misses. So we talked briefly, and actually I think we sort of accidentally stumbled into some films we're going to talk about. That's okay, because here we have a situation where the films we're going to talk about are sort of all from different realms of gaming. Battleship is its own unique. Is it a board game? I guess it is.
Yeah, I mean, Battleship and Clue are both board games. And then of course, Tetris is a game that has literally zero storyline. So
right, and yet
I mean, even Battleship doesn't really have a storyline other than I am in charge of a fleet and I want to kill you.
Yes, exactly. And then of course, Dungeons and Dragons, it's its own genre of gaming, and so I really was kind of excited to have a discussion about some of these films with you as we then lead into our reviews on Tetris and Dungeons and Dragons that were again released in this past week.
And by the way, we've talked about Battleship.
We have. So
this will
not be a deep dive into Battleship. But hey, it's a game. So here we are. Now, as we begin, that's one of the reasons I put Battleship first. This is not a movie that we haven't talked about before, like you said. Peter Berg, gives the, this was supposed to be, I guess, the beginning of a potential Hasbro franchise.
Yeah.
I more than talk about the film, I'm curious, the game, like how much of it did you play or
sure.
have you,
Yeah, absolutely. That was, I've played dozens of times, but not like many dozens of times, like not approaching 100, but certainly well over 20.
You're not tournament levels, what you're saying,
right? No, for sure not. But it's an easy game to play. Everybody understands what your goal is, and I have probably done the kid thing where you pull out the thing and you play by yourself, where like you set it up and you just kind of like put all the pegs in and stuff like that. I've probably done that more than actually played the game, but yeah, I mean, if you have Battleship, you've played it.
Yeah, it is a fun game, and again, I haven't played it in years, but
yeah, no, that's valid.
But the one thing I will say, and I've said this more than once, this movie is one of those that I can turn on and just enjoy, any number of times. It is not a good film.
It is not
a good film. Taylor, I can't think of his last name, the main actor. Kitsch, thank you. This was right in the midst of a lot of bombs that he was in.
It was the we're gonna make Taylor Kitsch a thing,
right?
And then everybody else was like,
you're not.
Are you though?
No, you're not.
Yeah.
But what I will say, and I always make this comment in the times we've talked about it, is the way they pulled out some of the creative visuals, trying to sort of shoehorn the game into the story.
The peg bombs is perfect.
It's like, fun.
There are things that this movie does 100% correct, and we're going to go ahead and make a movie about a game, and a game that everyone knows and loves, and the peg bombs is one of the things that absolutely
it's one of the few homages within the movie itself to the game, which is why, for me, I mean, this, if someone hasn't ever played the game or is not familiar with it, the movie on its own, it's a popcorn action flick.
It's standalone.
Exactly.
You would never have. There's absolutely nothing going on in this movie that like makes you like, I've never played the game though.
Right, exactly. That, and I think we've said in the past, Liam Neeson did somebody a favor. So
yeah.
But yeah, so at the end of the day, Battleship, of course, qualifies as a movie based on a game, but it's kind of its own thing, and it has one of the most creative uses of an AC/DC song to amp up the last act of the film. So
yeah,
I don't know that there's much else to say other than if you haven't seen Battleship, I highly recommend it. It's fun, and then forget it. So. All right, so that brings us to actually a movie I do want to talk about, and in some detail, Paul, because first of all, I forgot this was mid-80s.
Yeah. 1985.
Yeah, exactly. And wow. So I was familiar with the fact that this was a film, had never seen it back in the day. Which
boggles my mind.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, and it's because here, let me tell you, I'll just flat out I love board games. Okay. Clue was never fun for me. I never enjoyed playing Clue. I'm the one who can, and this probably won't surprise you.
You and Benoit Blanc. Go ahead.
I can definitely get bogged down into a long game of Monopoly and love it.
Oh, okay.
I think that's equated to, I love talkie films. I love
that's epic, that's fair. Yeah.
So Clue for me was never a fun game because it was like, I don't know. I can't even tell you a reason other than I just found it boring. So when the movie was the thing, I was like, okay, first of all, I'm 15. So, I'm not exactly running out to the theater on my own. And plus I'm about to start working full time. I mean, not full time, but, working. So here we are this many years later. I think was it 93, 03, almost 40 years later.
Yeah.
And I finally watched it this week, and Jen loves this movie.
Yes, as she should.
I might have chuckled a couple times.
Oh my god!
The the humor doesn't age well, but
wrong.
I will say this: spectacular cast, very young cast of some of the most familiar faces in Hollywood. starting with Tim Curry, but the humor was so dry.
Yes.
And there's something I think you could admit there's something that one of the issues with this film is the editing. It's edited to try to make the joke work, where I think they could have just let the scene play out and the jokes would have probably hit. I feel like they were jump cutting the punchlines, and it was like, I would have gotten it if you hadn't edited it that way. So I don't know if that makes sense, but there's something in the editing that felt very jumpy, and it just killed the flow of the film for me.
So you're probably referring to the third act, where
no, not when he goes and explains it. I'm talking like throughout. I thought the third act was the best part of the film.
Okay.
All the back and forth of the explaining and that was fun.
This is how it could have happened. Or it could have happened like this.
Yeah.
And keep in mind that, like, if you went to see it in the theater, you only got one ending.
Right. Like, yeah. Jen explained that to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I'd forgotten.
Yeah.
Tell me why you love this film, because I really
because it is so good. It, like you said, the humor is extremely dry. So there's absolutely at no point, other than when Madeline Kahn at the end of the movie is doing her flames from the side of my face. When she does that, that's the one like drop dead laugh. It's just a fun movie. I mean, like, that's it. It's just a fun movie, and it really gets the whole idea of the game, which is, you know, these people are here together and somebody has been killed, and but then it like kind of ups the ante by starting to kill off more people and more people, right. and then it becomes an interesting whodunit from, you know, and a fun whodunit, and and with Tim Curry in it. So I don't know, like I just it's like it, and this is Tim Curry's just like absolute opus, and the kind of role
he's great in it. I will say that he's
like
great.
This is what he was here to do. In Martin Mull, this is the kind of thing he was here to do.
Oh, sure.
And Lloyd, this is the kind of thing that, you know, it's just the casting is so perfect. It is so perfect, and it's just a fun movie. Is it a 5-star movie? Absolutely not. But being a spectacular, super rewatchable 3.5 star movie makes it probably the best movie based on a game ever. You know, prior to Dungeons and Dragons or something. I don't know, but like it really does make it stand out in the if you want to call movies based on games a genre.
The genre,
in the genre of movies based on games, being really good and being something that you would want to watch again. That's really good. And keeping in mind, it sets the bar. It's 1985.
Sure.
So there's not a ton, like, you know, that predates anything that you're going to talk about, like that would be a Nintendo movie, you know, like all video games. There's no video games that you're going to be basing a movie on. Like it's so your source material is just board games. And I mean, there's just not many board games, including Battleship, that you can make a decent movie out of, you know? And so and it's just so light and so fun. I don't know. I don't know.
I think I just came into it 30 some odd years too late. It was because, again,
it's possible,
you know, because maybe at the time, you know, with the context that I would have had about Clue at that age and having played it way back then, it might have landed better in terms of the humor and so forth. But I just found it really like, okay, all right, it's really a struggle to get through this, but mercifully short. But I cannot say enough about the cast. And I mean, to see a Michael McKean so young, and others, you know, there were all of these. I mean, these were some this cast was built of comedic giants.
Yes.
Which is why I guess I was expecting more in terms of the humor. You know, like I felt like jokes were just being rushed through. In fact, this felt very much like I don't know who, I don't remember who directed it, but I think this movie would have been better served if it had been directed by those who brought us Airplane, or
the Zucker brothers.
Because I think that's the humor they were going for.
It's definitely not the humor they were
okay.
No,
I mean, I guess maybe that's what I felt like the jokes were being set up for, and then I just didn't feel like the punchlines delivered.
No, I mean they are literally going for just almost an offshoot of just British humor that is just like we're all playing it straight. Nobody is playing it for gags. None of the gags are sight gags. It's all just witty delivery, witty lines, and we're just going and we're gonna just keep going. And we're not trying to have punchline after punchline. It's just, quick interactions that are amusing, and we're going to keep going.
Yeah. I will say this. It only caused me to have one audible groan. Okay. And that's when we got introduced to Mr. Body. I'm like, oh my God. Okay. This is where we're going. And so, but it was a nice evening watching it with Jen, and knowing that she had such an appreciation for it, I was like, okay, cool. Because she literally looked at the list that she's writing for the new segment, and she's like, I can't believe that you hadn't watched it. I surely would have put it on the list. And so yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I think I came into this film too late. Okay. For me to find it fun, but
I can't. Hey, that's fair, but I still think it's crazy. I mean, God, this movie, yeah, like, name me a I can't believe I genuinely can't believe we're sitting here on this podcast right now, and if I asked you this question, you would say yes. I would definitely rather rewatch Battleship again than rewatch Clue.
Okay, now I'm going to call you on that, because we've been doing this for how many years, and you seriously can't believe?
I seriously can't believe it, because Clue is ostensibly know what I like. Clue is ostensibly a better movie.
Yes, but how many times over the years has it not come down to whether it's the better movie or not between you and I?
No, I know.
So this is like the perfect result in terms of the conversation. This is vintage us. So
okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, that brings us into our reviews of the two most recent game-based movies. In fact, yes. If anything, the movie we're about to talk about next really isn't so much based on the game as it is on the history. Well, the manufactured history of how this game came to be.
I will say it was way more closer to what the actual, I thought it was going to be ridiculous and super over the top, and it was just mildly ridiculous and a little over the top.
Yeah. But this movie, because you and I just as recently as last week we're thinking this is going to be a satire of some sort.
Correct.
And of course, after I watched it, I'm like, okay, how much of this was, and there are some elements, but
they obviously play up the timing of things that happen, and for dramatic effect,
right. I didn't know the feeling I got when it was over was like, wow, I didn't know that I'd be this interested in how this game and the game rights came to pass.
It was absolutely fascinating. I could not believe how intriguing the entire movie was.
Yeah,
it had no business being this good. It really didn't have any business being this good, but here it was, and genuinely, which movie did it better? And by it, I mean, people on an airplane, on a tarmac, trying to get the hell out of a country that they probably shouldn't be in the first place. Tetris or Argo?
I was going to say. I had the same thought. I'm like, this is Argo level tension.
And I was genuinely like, even though I know in the back of my head, I'm like, this is not how this played out. Like,
right.
I don't believe that this is how it was played out, but I do believe to some extent that is probably how it might have played out in Argo. I also doubt that it was that close, that razor thin of the timing and stuff. But it was, they're both basically the same friggin' scene, and they're both equally good. I loved it. I loved it.
I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
And again, well, and I don't know that we'll ever get tired of saying it. I know I won't. It's just talky enough for me, and it's
so talky.
It's I loved it. Taron Egerton, man, like, golly, when you look at the roles he's played, and all from everything from Kingsman to Rocket Man, things like this. I mean, he continues to churn out these performances that I don't know that I think people would probably, there are some that would still struggle to identify him.
Mm-hmm.
But he just needs that one big breakout role, and he's really going to come into his own because he's a very strong actor.
You don't think Rocket Man was that? I don't know.
I don't know that it. One other thing, and this is a complete 5-second rabbit trail. I think that both Rocket Man and Bohemian Rhapsody, for all the great awards that Bohemian Rhapsody got for Rami Malek and so forth, these aren't movies that people go, oh man, I got to watch that again. Like
they are not,
right? And that's where I think Taron Egerton. I'm not saying his career is suffering, but I think he needs something that's going to really, really shine on a larger scope. But he's doing fine. Like I can't think of a movie I've seen him in that I didn't enjoy.
I hope he's happy because I'm happy when he's on a movie.
Absolutely. No doubt.
And golly gee. It's so funny because at the end of the movie, I couldn't help but think, like, I can't believe I'm sitting here like watching this movie and saying hooray, capitalism won. But like there I am saying hooray, capitalism won. I don't know. It's so ridiculous. It is so ridiculous.
Can you imagine the pitch for this film? Like, and how many people might have thought that doesn't seem like it'd be interesting.
Right. Right.
I think there was a lot that I want to someday be able to read about how this film came to be.
Yeah.
Because on paper, this should never have worked.
Yeah.
It has everything to do with how this film was first written, cast, and edited. I mean,
where this movie would not work as an extended prestige TV show. Like, it would be way too long. The 2 hours is perfect for it. It keeps it compelling, and the pacing was perfect. It just absolutely worked.
Yeah.
And kudos to them for interspersing the 8-bit graphics and stuff, like the interstitials all being in 8-bit, and then the car chase at the end, the Atomic Blonde car chase at the end.
Yeah.
Which again,
brilliant.
Definitely did not happen. Like that didn't happen for 2 seconds, let alone and the 3 minutes that they
I was gonna say
in the movie. But really good. Like, it was a good car chase, and they pixelate the cars as they're driving around, and I loved it. It was great.
So much creativity, and overall, I don't mind jumping in and saying that for me.
Yeah.
And this may be high, but I think it gets the extra taco because I didn't expect it. And so I'm going to give this movie 4 tacos. I really enjoyed it. And it's one that I'll revisit again because, again, I love the dialogue. I love the exchanges.
This
was a strong film for me.
Yeah, no, it's a 4 taco movie. It's absolutely a 4 taco movie. And I'm looking for my tacos. There they are. And, unapologetically a 4 tacos movie.
Absolutely. I loved it.
Yeah, I think people should go watch this, especially if you just have Apple Plus you're like, well, I never use that. Well, just go watch Tetris, man.
Yeah, and then it's worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love when I get surprised by a movie, like this. And you and I've been doing this long enough now that there is a point where, I don't know about you, but sometimes I'll look at a roster of films that we need to watch, and I'm like, man, that's going to be an effort. And this one was
next week.
Well, I'm looking forward to Air.
I'm looking forward to Air. Big
yeah.
Time, I know.
But no, this was, as soon as I saw that they made a movie based on Tetris, I'm like, well, how exciting is that going to be? It was a really good film. So yeah, excellent. 4 taco movie for sure. All right, which brings us to the other film that we're going to talk about that was released last week, and that is the film Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. So I got to see this movie early. Was cool. taking Amazon had an event, and George my friend George invited me to say, hey, let's go check it out. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. I'll totally take not having to pay for this, because I was worried. I really was. Even with the cast, it was oh God, but the subject matter, how will they treat it? So Paul, I would be, I'm not the person to start this conversation. As someone who has been, and I've played Dungeons and Dragons in the past, nowhere near as long as you,
right?
As the guru. Yeah. Talk to me about how you felt when you saw that this film was going to be a thing, and then let's lead into our thoughts on the film.
When I saw that the movie was going to be a thing, I was super excited because honestly, much like The Last of Us, it lends itself to being a movie because the whole idea of a good session of sitting down and playing Dungeons and Dragons is that there's a really good story that you're role playing, you're playing roles and interacting with people and trying to solve a problem.
Yeah.
And that's a fucking movie. Like that's how you do a movie. And sometimes there's whole campaigns where it's like super long, in which case, okay, maybe this should be a television series. And sometimes it's just a small little thing that you have to do, and that's called a one shot. And they say you should be able to do this in one night, but because it takes forever to do the actual combat in Dungeons and Dragons, it ends up taking 3 nights. But this was a one shot. This was a one shot deal that it's that they like absolutely did well because they figured out how to they just wrote a good story. They had a good it was a heist movie, and that that's what that's one of the things that you do in Dungeons and Dragons is you need to do a heist. You need to steal something. You need to get into a place and steal something, and everybody uses their talents to do that, and it totally absolutely works if you write it well.
Right. No, and again, from the outset, from the start of this film, I was drawn in. And listen, I've been on this journey in the last 2 years of broadening my scope and understanding games in the gaming world. And it was such, for me, it was such it may be silly for some who've been in the gaming world for a long time, but when I hear terms like Neverwinter and Baldur's Gate, and I have context now, that's what added to my enjoyment of this movie, because I'm playing Neverwinter. I
really
played Baldur's Gate.
Oh wow, okay, cool.
And so as someone who is, I don't know when I'm going to stop saying new to this world, because it has been 2 years, but when you think of how many years people have played games such as this, it was nice to hear and understand those references, because it wouldn't have killed my enjoyment of the film not knowing, but it just added that level of feeling like, this is why I'm where I'm at now, so that I could fully enjoy this experience, because the story was fun, the characters were hilarious, but without being like slapstick, know. This was just a really well put together film, and Hugh Grant continues to put out smarmy characters. And we love him for it,
God bless Guy Ritchie for showing the world how to use Hugh Grant.
Exactly. Absolutely.
And it's great. It was just fun. This is just a fun movie. That's it. Like it really is, period, end of story. The jokes work. The plot works. Nothing's too difficult to understand. Nobody doesn't take their part seriously, but also doesn't take it too seriously. It's just like it's a great blending of everything that you need for a really good, solid action flick.
Yeah. And I think you make a great point when you say the mistake would have been to try to turn this into a series. Like this worked because I've gone down a slight rabbit hole of like some of the practical effects and stuff, behind the scenes videos and stuff. And just again, this is for me, and I don't know how you'll feel, but I'm gonna go from a rating standpoint. I'm throwing in guac. This is a 3 tacos plus guac because of the sheer enjoyment I had. Just overall, it's I probably will see it again. But it left me walking out going, this was so much fun. And I think everybody around me, you could tell this was packed. And Amazon's thing, it was $10 per shot. So you were paying some money. Okay. Right. And so, but the crowd enjoyed it. The audience I was in really had a great time.
Yeah. I'm doing 4 tacos again. Okay. I'm a happy movie guy today. I 4 tacos for both. It probably is a 3 tacos plus guac movie, but because of my Dungeons and Dragons history,
sure,
I'm throwing in a whole extra taco.
Yeah,
I mean, this is what I want. Just more of this.
Yeah,
this is the kind of movie that makes me angry when people are like, "Oh, everything has to be an IP," and it's like, no, that's not a problem. The problem is people make shit. Like, right. It's not, why does it have to be IP? It's fine if it's IP. Just do it well, that's it. Just if you're going to do IP, do it well.
Do it well. Yeah.
Do it well. That's it.
I have to ask you very, very briefly. You saw the first attempt at a Dungeons and Dragons film, right?
I mean, like
years
ago, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, like it came out in 2000 and I, saw it and forgot it.
I'm just curious to know.
I don't remember anything about it.
Gotcha.
I literally remember just that it was shit, and I probably should revisit it just to be like, what was this thing that I remembered disliking immensely. I was living in New York at the time, so I would go to a lot of movies just to because it was cheap entertainment. So
well, this is now where I can admit to you that my original thought had been, let's contrast the two, but I thought, nope, this is a guy who is immersed in the world, and I don't want to disrespect.
No, it's I wasn't even super deep into Dungeons and Dragons in that time. I mean, and at that time, like 5th edition hadn't even come out yet. So it wasn't like it was going through a renaissance or anything like that. It was like literally just like, hey, let's harken back to this thing that very few people did in the 80s.
Gotcha.
Whereas now it's just like so many people are playing Dungeons and Dragons that it's like, it felt like they were like, okay, we need to take this seriously. We need to spend the time.
Yeah.
And they did.
And that's what they did. Yeah. Absolutely. No, I was very pleased with it, and you can't walk out of it without a smile on your face. It was so much fun. Much fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. That's our review of Tetris and Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Make sure you catch it while they're in theaters. They're a whole lot of fun.
Actually,
Tetris on Apple Plus. Dungeons and Dragons, watch it in the theater. It's a lot of fun.
Yes.
All right. That brings us to our latest installment of What the Hell Did I Just Watch? And Paul, as soon as you gave me the title and I saw the poster, I'm like, okay, strap yourself in.
Yeah. Okay. So we have to talk about 2 first names on this poster. Okay. So first of all, and we're going to flip-flop them because Mark Lester, do you have any idea who Mark Lester is?
I do not.
Okay. Have you ever seen the musical Oliver with an exclamation mark?
Yes, I have.
Okay. He's Oliver he is Oliver. Okay. So this is Mark Lester in probably like, this is it. I can't ever play a kid ever again because my voice is about to change. And there's nobody's going to cast me as a kid anymore. This is it. Okay. And it's Shelley Winters, right around the same time that she has Poseidon Adventure coming out. Okay. So that's where Shelley Winters is right now. Shelley Winters is in, I just kind of want to keep working and please let me do movies.
Right.
And so somebody wrote Whoever Slew Auntie Roo and said, hey, Shelley Winters is probably available. And they said, yes. And people know who she is. And they said, yes. And we need a kid. Well, we need 2 kids actually. And there's like, well, but we only need 1 kid to really do a whole bunch of lines. And like, well, that Mark Lester kid from Oliver was super cute and we could get him. And they're like, yes. And so they made the movie. Now so that we had to establish who's in the movie. So this movie is bonkers. So it opens with Shelley Winters singing lullabies in a nursery. Okay, she's clearly not like okay, if you don't know anything about the movie going into the movie, you're thinking, well, this must be like a nanny or a grandmother or something, because Shelley Winters is clearly too old to have a kid of her own who she's singing lullabies to. Okay. And this movie wastes no time to fuck you up with your head, because like when she's done singing the lullaby, she's like, "Good night, sweetheart," and she kisses the skeleton of her daughter laying in the bed on the head and kisses her goodnight. So like right off the bat, we see that Shelley Winters has a dead kid that she keeps in a bedroom and sings to her every night.
Wow.
That's 5 minutes. That's the beginning of the movie. 5 minutes in, the first thing that we're introduced to is Shelley Winters is absolutely fucking nuts. So, and then we're introduced to the orphan kids, Mark Lester and his younger sister, who are we find out are persona non grata around the orphanage. They get into trouble. Yeah. And they lie about the trouble that they get into. And it's obvious that that Oliver is manipulating his younger sister into telling lies and stuff like that. Sure. And it is then we find out that the orphans are it's Christmas time, and the orphans are super excited because at Christmas time they get to go spend the night at Auntie Rue's place, like not overnight, but like they go over, they have dinner, they're given presents, and then they come back with their presents. But you have to be good. They don't take everybody because Auntie Rue is, based off of things that the people who run the orphanage. Auntie Rue's basically a benefactor, provides money to the orphanage and also does this thing every Christmas. And so lo and behold, when they show up, whose doorstep do they show up on but Shelley Winters' doorstep? And you're like, oh shit. This is not somebody mentally stable enough that should be hosting kids. Got it. Let alone orphans. And what do we know? But Oliver and his little sister have stowed away in the trunk of the van that went, and they get in very big trouble. But Auntie Rue is nice, and Auntie Rue says, no, they can come in. It's not a problem. Lucky for everybody, I guess. Shelley Winters takes a liking to Oliver's little sister because she looks exactly like her daughter. Now, obviously, we know that Shelley Winters likes her daughter so much she keeps her skeleton in a bedroom upstairs. So this doesn't sound like a good idea. And then, we start hearing murmurs throughout the evening about how one time there was an orphan that didn't come home, and there's talk about, she gives us presents, but be careful, you don't want to spend the night because she will kill you. And this talk, this murmuring, and these rumors and things get out of hand, but Shelley Winters decides, no, you know what, I want Oliver's little sister. And fuck you, Oliver, you're going back to the orphanage. I just want your little sister. And he's like, what? That's really what we're doing here? And the people who run the orphanage are totally cool with the idea that this lady is just going to adopt one of these kids tonight. And they, by the way, and are totally cool with the idea that we're going to break up the brother and sister, which they are. Needless to say, Oliver figures out a way to sneak off of the van and stay overnight also, and move in, unbeknownst to Auntie Rue, and she figures it out pretty quickly. Have you ever seen The Bad Seed, or do you know anything about
it? A long time ago. Okay. Yeah.
So basically this takes a turn into the bad. This movie goes at first you're like, oh my God, Shelley Winters is an absolute crackpot. And then it's like, well, she's a crackpot, but she's not, you don't get the feeling that like she actually like has killed like orphans before. Like that she's not that kind of crackpot, but that's what the kids believe. And she does have a skeleton in her in upstairs. So maybe I don't know. And then so Oliver is so worked up in a frenzy about what Shelley Winters is going to do to them.
Yeah.
That in order to protect his little sister, he will do anything to protect her from Auntie Roo. And there is an accident and it's a tragedy. Clearly not an accident, clearly not a tragedy. And you know, Oliver is being you know, questioned by the fire department when they show up, and he says, I have no idea what happened. And then they ask Oliver's little sister, and she's like, I don't know what happened either. And then it's like, oh, these fucking kids killed Auntie Roo. And it's and then that's your movie.
That's it.
Spoiled it. That's it. But it's really like, where is this thing going? It's like bad seed, but like maybe she should be killed. But then you're like, no, nobody deserves to be killed.
Was the skeleton never explained?
That was her daughter. Like,
well, yeah, but I mean, yeah, but we get no backstory as to.
I mean, no, like
or it's deduced from
they do they do explain a little bit about like how she got sick and
okay,
you know, like there are a couple of conversations that she has with her, you know, people that she trusts, you know, the people that work in the house about her daughter and how tragic it was when she died and you know, that kind of thing. And Oliver's little sister falls in love with a doll that was her daughter's doll. And like Auntie Roo promises to give her any doll, but she can't have that one. So there, you know, there are things that go on with that, but there was nothing nefarious about how, like, that's the thing is you find out pretty quickly that she's just crazy.
Okay.
But it's also like, you don't leave kids with crazy. And like, but so like, it's really weird when it's bad seed, but he's killing somebody who really shouldn't be in contact with kids anyway. And it's, when the kid kills somebody in a fire and you're like, I don't really know how I feel about that. Maybe your movie didn't work.
Right. Well, wow.
Yeah.
But for me, that was more of a sudden stop. By the time you got to the end, I was like, "Oh, that was it."
Like that's it. Like that's where it goes. It's like, you realize as the third act is playing out, you're like, "Oh, I know where this is going." Like it becomes pretty obvious just in the buildup of how terrible Oliver feels towards Auntie Roo. Like because she wants to split them up, and because she's only interested in the little girl and he's a little boy, and because all of the kids spread these like tall tales about what Auntie Roo has done to orphans who have spent the night before. You kind of get the idea of where this is going, but like when it actually happens, you're like, she has done nothing to deserve this, but also I don't really totally feel bad for her. Like it's weird.
It's a conflicted feeling.
It's very conflicted. So. I felt much worse for Shelley Winters when she drowned in Poseidon Adventure than I did at the end of Whoever Slew Auntie Roo.
That's your contrast right there.
Yeah, if you want to feel bad for Shelley Winters in a death scene at the end of a movie, watch Poseidon Adventure.
Yeah.
That's
your takeaway from the whole thing.
This was a really genuinely weird movie. Like I don't know what they were going for. I just don't know what they were trying to do. It's free on YouTube. Go look
there
it
you
up.
Go.
Yeah.
Well, Paul, is the reason we call it What the Hell Did I Just Watch? So that fits perfectly.
Oh, 5 minutes in, as soon as they showed her kissing the head of a skeleton, I'm like, oh shit.
We're in.
This has been on my list for quite some time, by the way.
Gotcha. Okay, good. Well, hey, thank you for bringing it to us as always.
Been aware of this one, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Week to week, you can find out what kind of weird stuff Paul is watching. Then you go watch it and tell him he's crazy. So, all right. Very good. All right. Well,
do you want me to tease next week?
Yeah, absolutely. Because Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are back. Yeah. And here we are. So, yeah, talk about it.
David Cronenberg's coming back.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. For what the hell did I just watch?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I thought you meant previewing the next episode.
No, well, so previewing the next episode. We're doing Nike and we're doing Mario Brothers, and I feel like we're gonna have plenty to say about both of them. Really,
I do have a question for you that I don't mind asking you on air. Sure. Any interest or thought towards Paint?
My thought is I'm not going to see 3 movies this weekend. Okay. That's my thought.
There you go. Okay.
So
that settles that. So.
Yeah, we've got to pick 2. We got to pick 2.
Those 2 are fine.
And Paint is like, yeah.
No, I'm with you. So, but Cronenberg, you said, is back for what the hell did I watch?
Yes.
I am intrigued.
Oh my God. This movie is
I can't even imagine.
Insane that I'm going to do next
Of course. That's funny. Is it anything I should subject myself to, or is it just
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Don't.
I appreciate that. So
yeah.
All right. Well, next week we will be talking about Air and Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
2 very different films. So
I would assume.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would hope.
But yeah, we'll have some fun with that. But Paul, what else are you looking forward to in the next few weeks? Because there are some titles coming out that
there are some titles coming out. All right, let's let me bring up my thingy here. I got it right at the top of my pages here. All right. Obviously,
Renfield.
What's that?
Renfield for sure.
Yeah. So Renfield is coming out. So it's interesting because we've got Renfield and we've got the Pope's Exorcist.
Yep.
And I so much prefer exorcism movies to vampire movies.
Right.
And so I feel like I'm going to end up seeing both of them.
I am as well.
And I'm disappointed in myself, but
that's very different reasons.
Yeah, that's where I am. I'm going to end up seeing both of them, and it's just like I probably shouldn't, but oh well.
Yeah.
And then the week after that is, dear God, what the hell did I just watch? Takes over again.
Yeah,
because Beau is Afraid is coming out, and
okay, yeah.
That's the primary movie. Like The Covenant is probably the big release there. The Guy Ritchie one with what's his face,
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal. But I have zero interest in seeing that movie. Like, I don't want to go see that. Like, I'm not going to go see that movie. I'm just telling you right now.
Guy Ritchie doesn't get you there?
No. Like, there's 2. It's just no. Okay.
I am interested. Oh, go ahead.
Well, first of all, I'm going to Disney that weekend, so sure. I will only be able to see one movie. Like, that's it's I'm going to be going Monday night, and that's all. And that's it.
Yeah.
And I just don't. And it's also Evil Dead Rise. I forgot that one's coming out. I don't care about that either.
No, you can't. No. I don't get me started because you don't mess with the Evil Dead franchise.
Yeah.
I am curious, and now that we're talking, I'll enjoy it just for enjoyment. I'm really curious about Chevalier.
I am too, but I want to see Beau is Afraid, so that's the one I'm gonna go see.
That'll work.
And then obviously, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, the weekend following. No, which actually I probably will end up seeing, but the one that I will go see Sisu. Like that is people killing Nazis
is a demand. Oh man, have you seen the trailer?
Yes, it's awesome.
Oh my God, I saw the trailer.
Bonkers and amazing. And then we get
amazing.
And then we get the Guardians of the Galaxy. And look, that's the one. That's the one that everybody
already got tickets.
Yeah. So
all right.
The one, but then 2 weeks after that, oh my God. Fucking Fast.
Oh, that's right.
Jesus.
Golly, that's coming up.
I hated 9 so much. I hated it so much. I hated that movie.
But this is supposed to be it, Paul.
But it looks worse than the last one.
It really does. It really does.
And they're bringing Rita Moreno in. Like, we've gone this long and we've never met his mom, and now it's just like, hey, let's bring in Rita Moreno to be the mom. And the most absurd thing about the Fast franchise is that it literally takes 2 hours of screen time for an enemy to be turned into a friend.
Exactly.
And it's so dumb.
And they're in the rest of the
and it's like, are you kidding me? I have to sit through fucking John Cena again. And
I have a feeling that's going to be just a portion of.
No, he's gonna be in the fucking movie. Because
no, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it'll be like a large role. Is what I'm.
He's going to be as large of a role as any of the other supporting drivers that aren't Vin Diesel. You know,
drivers. I love that. Not even characters, drivers.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, we're gonna have to brace ourselves for that.
I seriously have. I wasn't excited about seeing Fast 9, but I wasn't loathing it. I don't think, like I was like, okay, whatever. Like there's just no part of me that wants to see Fast 10 on any level.
We have to close the book.
We
have to close the book.
I know.
Yeah. All right. Well, lots to look forward to. On a personal note, I'm excited to share with you, Paul. I loved the Lord of the Rings franchise, or the trilogy. This coming Thursday, I will be attending the Fathom events.
Nice. Return of the King.
Yeah, Return of the King, and
nice
260 minutes, man. So
nice.
Yeah. So
are they doing the extended version?
They are.
Oh,
they
nice.
are.
I love that.
And that's why I own it.
Yeah,
but I want to see it in the big screen.
Sure, I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
All right. Well, if you've been watching, we thank you. If you're with us on YouTube, make sure you click that subscribe button and the notification bell for when our episodes land. If you caught us live, thank you so much for doing that. If you're watching us on Facebook, again, thank you. We will continue to do this because, hey, movies are fun. So, Paul, as always, thank you. It's always a blast, my friend.
Yeah, man.
All right. For all of you out there, we thank you. We remind you, you are awesome. You're amazing. And the world's a better place because you are in it. We'll see you next time on Real to Real Talk. Good night, everybody. Boy.